Hello, all you radiant, glowing workers of light who are on this journey together with me and others on helping people understand how they can heal their own body with energy they're already making. Seems like a really simple complex or concept. Well, stay tuned because I'm going to show you how that works. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper. Marcy reached out to me a few days ago and asked me if I would redo a presentation that I did in Boise on June 25th. We had some technical difficulties. I actually had the settings right, and the sound guy for the hotel came in and tweaked them, and then they weren't. And then I had to do a little voiceover for the Wizard of Oz part. But I want you to know that even though you see some of the same slides, it's not the same presentation, and I've been making slides for the last 4 days. So there is some new information in here that I want to share with you. Part of it is my healing journey. I've had some seriously life-altering health benefits from using these patches, and I think it's important that we get that word out. But first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who came up to me at the convention. And first, it was really great meeting you and hearing a little bit about your journey. But I want to tell you that it was really meaningful to me and impactful to have you reach out and thank me for the videos that I've made. You know, I just make them because I want to be helpful. But I'll tell you a little secret. About 10 years ago, I set out this intention that I wanted to increase my circle of influence for good globally. And I've had people reach out from different countries and email me, and people came up to me. So I just want to tell you how meaningful that is to me to know that I'm helping you in some way. So thank you. All right. It's like somebody needs to be muted. All right. So having said that, my name is Dr. John Harmon, and I'm going to take you on a little journey right now. And when I was thinking about originally thinking about this presentation and how I could help people through story understand how important this concept is. And I saw a meme about the Wizard of Oz on Facebook, and that got me to thinking, and there's a part in the movie that's just perfect to help people grasp this concept of already having something that you don't have to go outside or beyond your own backyard to find. So I'm going to do a little screen share. And this is the meme that I saw. You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself. This was Glinda, the Good Witch. And here is the video clip. Many of you will recognize it. I used to watch it every year. The scaredest I ever got from any scene on TV was when the lion entered the scene. I was about 7 years old.
Any longer. You've always had the power to go back to Kansas. I have.
Then why didn't you tell her before?
Because she wouldn't have believed me. She had to learn it for herself.
What have you learned, Dorothy?
Well, I think that it wasn't enough just to want to see Uncle Henry and Auntie Em. And it's that
If I ever go looking for my heart's desire again, I won't look any further than my own backyard. Because if it isn't there, I never really lost it to begin with. Is that right?
That's all it is.
But that's so easy. I should have thought of it for you. I should have felt it in my heart.
No, she had to find it out for herself. Now those magic slippers will take you home in 2 seconds. Oh.
So what is that? What do you already have inside that makes it so you don't have to go beyond your own backyard, your own body, to the local drugstore? Ask yourself, what do I choose? My own backyard or the drugstore? Those of you who don't know me, just quick introduction. I've been a chiropractor for 32 years. Board certified in QEEG. What the heck is that? That's electrical activity of the brain, knowing what it means and what to do about it to fix it. And father of 8, actually it's 10 with stepkids, and grandfather of 24. Ironically, all those things that they put in the little announcement for this Zoom today, most of the things that I got certified in, I don't even do anymore. I do brain stuff because of some things that happened that made me go on that journey. So we help people get their brains right. Here's my contact information. If anybody wants to reach out to me, drjharmon@gmail.com. So let's talk about this entire presentation has to do with frequencies and vibration. Look at this representation of a human frame. You see these frequencies passing through this representation of the human. And then it says, did you know your soul is composed of harmony? You can look at disease as a form of disharmony. And then it talks about everything is affected by sound, music, and vibration. All of that is vibration. If you break down the components of a body into first, from organs to tissues and tissues to cells and cells to atoms and molecules, what are they made of? It's just frequencies. Everything is frequency. It looks like our body is solid, but it is not. If you're sitting by someone, you're getting frequencies from that person. There are cell phone transmissions passing through you. There's Wi-Fi. All of those things can affect our frequencies and our vibration. In 2009, Japanese researcher figured this out. We humans actually glow. It's more intense in the afternoon, and it's around the forehead, neck, and cheeks. The dimmest is recorded at night. But I want to tell you this. This is what David Schmidt captured to power the patches, and we'll go into detail about that. But first, this is about frequencies. We humans glow. We have other frequencies going on inside and outside of us, but plants do too. And if you haven't ever listened to the music of plants, you need to, and I'm going to show you this. I watched the video yesterday, and this guy said he had it all set up with these mini sprouts where they hook these sensors up to the plants, and then they shifted the scale from energetic scale to what it would sound like if we could hear it. And he hooked it up to a plastic plant. Obviously, there was nothing. Then he put the same thing on the plant, and it was beautiful music. This is a picture I took off the Depali coast of Kauai a year and a half ago. And ironically, I found a plant that lives right up at the top of that ridge where they hooked a MIDI sprout up to it to listen to its music. And so we're going to listen to that right now. Can you hear that, Peter? the frequencies that it's sending all throughout the plant that you can actually feel when you hug a plant or a tree. I think that's some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard. And then briefly, here's one with a mushroom. So we humans glow. We're made of frequencies. We're made of vibration. Our body is just frequencies. Everybody remembers this guy. This guy is Nikola Tesla. I want to tell you, our CEO is who I'm going to tell you about today. He's on the level of this guy, Nikola Tesla. And that is our founder and CEO, David Schmidt. Here's a picture of our founder next to a drone he developed and announced at the convention this last week. The motor of this drone actually cleans the air. The air coming out of the exhaust is actually cleaner than the air going in, and it can stay airborne for up to 90 hours. And you know why he invented it? So that we humans can take care of other humans in need, like refugees in areas of conflict or after natural disasters. He made this drone, has I think a 260-pound payload and can stay airborne for up to 90 hours. And this tells you everything you need to know about David Schmidt, inventing something not for profit, but to help people in need in the world. I want to tell you that trickles down from the CEO, and these are the kind of people who are involved in LifeWave. So briefly, how did David get to the point where he invented these patches? And it started with a problem that the Navy had trying to keep Navy SEALs awake on long missions in submarines. And they asked David if he could come up with a way to keep them awake because they were getting addicted to amphetamines. And many of you have heard this story, but what he did is he figured out, first of all, what frequencies do our bodies emit? If I could use some of those frequencies and get them back into the body, what kind of work could I do in the body? What kind of work could I do using that as a switch to turn on different pathways in the body? He figured out how to turn on fat burning for energy in Navy SEALs so they didn't have to take amphetamines. That was the first patch. We're not going to talk about that patch, but it does use 300 to 600 calories more per day in fat burning. So what did David do? He captured this. Remember this slide? This right here is what David captured. And this is what powers the patches that we use.
What is that?
So he invented a new form. I call it healthcare. We can't do that. By the way, there's nothing that I'm saying in this presentation that's intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. I want you to know that. Even though I'm a doctor, I'm not making a diagnosis. I'm not making a prognosis. And your results may be better or different than mine, maybe better, but they may be different than mine. But I am going to tell you some of my own results and show you my tests that were done to validate that. So David, again, he figured out he's reusing energy that our bodies are already making. To give you an idea of this concept, everybody knows you go out in the sunlight somehow causes some change in our body, and then we get vitamin D3. This is actually the process. You got UVB light, you have it stimulating the skin. How many of us heard David say the patch is photobiomodulation? It stimulates the skin. And then somehow magically 7-dehydrocholesterol gets converted to vitamin D3. So here's a question. Is there vitamin D3 in the air? Is there vitamin D3 in UVB light? No. Here's what happens. We have antennas on our skin. They're at the nuclear level. They get stimulated by different frequencies. UVB happens to be a frequency of light, much like an FM radio antenna. It picks up the signal, it stimulates the skin and activates that pathway. This is how the patches work. They stimulate different antennas on the skin, and David figured out how to do that. What frequency do I need to reflect back into the body to activate that specific antenna that controls that specific thing? That's pretty much how it happens. So LifeWave is the only phototherapy product in the world that uses the human body as the power source. So what actually happens when we place that on our skin, on the patch? So this is what they look like. This is, the patches look like a little Band-Aid, basically, but do you see the white stuff right here? This is the difference between each patch. So each patch has a different form of crystal structure. In other words, crystal, let me explain the concept. Crystal lattice is the way a crystal bonds together with the other things that are inside of it. For example, sodium chloride, the crystal lattice of sodium chloride is a perfect square. No matter how many times you crush sodium chloride, table salt, it will always crush in perfect squares. That is the crystal lattice structure of sodium chloride. Quartz crystals have a characteristic look. Every crystal has a different structure. Well, David figured out what to combine in each patch, different amino acids, salts, sugars, stabilized oxygen, whatever else he puts in there. But I want you to imagine it like you go into a jewelry store and you walk up to the diamond cabinet. You got these bright lights shining on it. The diamonds are white for the most part, or clear, but you look at it and you see all of these colors. You see reds and yellows and green. What is that? Well, the light is getting refracted out and reflected back to your eyes, and you see different colors. This is what happens with each different patch. Different frequencies, AKA think visible light or infrared or far infrared, gets reflected back and then stimulates the skin. Well, what is it doing? It's activating one of those antennas, or millions of them, that then act as a signal to turn on different pathways. So the X39 patch, when you put it on the skin, and this shows some of the different points we can put them on. The research was done on this point right there on the back of the base of the neck at C7. And then this one, 3 finger widths below the belly button. That's why those points are recommended. But truly, you can put it anywhere on your body. We have those antennas all over the place. So what actually happens? It signals your body to ramp up or restart, if you're really old, the GHK copper peptide pathway or factory. So GHK copper peptide, don't get confused by that. Peptides are signaling molecules. Your body has the way of getting a message from A to B. So some spot in your body, you need to go somewhere and turn something on. There's there's not a light switch, so it sends peptides, and this peptide has a copper molecule. That's what the CU stands for, and that's used to do a lot of things. I highly recommend you go to this website. This is the website of the doctor who discovered that peptide in 1973. His name is Dr. Lauren Picard. We're going to go there right now, and I want to show you. These are very important things, because when you place this patch on your body, all of the things on this website are potentially happening to you, irrespective of what you're feeling. Sometimes people, we get a little impatient and we want to have some huge noticeable effect when we put this patch on. I want to tell you, and I'm going to show you, I didn't even know I had the biggest thing the patches have cured for me, and that was in my heart. I didn't even know I had it. And it was a coincidence, a happy coincidence, that I found out after I'd started using the patches what I had that I'm going to show you. And then a year and a half later, had the same test done, and then it showed that it went away. So I guarantee, well, I can't guarantee, but almost with 100% certainty, there are people either watching this live or who are watching the recorded version. You have things right now you won't even know you had or went away unless you have a test done that shows that you have it. So unless you have pain that goes away right away, it's difficult to judge whether or not the stem cells that get activated with this stem cell activation patch, that you can't always tell what it's healing. So keep that in mind as we go through this. But look at this. This is 2 of the 6 categories on this website. DHK, skin and hair, tightened loose skin, repaired protective skin barrier. How many have looked at their skin? You know, I'm 68. How many have looked at their skin and you look and it looks like kind of crinkled? Well, tightens loose skin and thickens older skin. Repaired the barriers, improved skin firmness, elasticity, reduced fine lines and depth of wrinkles, smoothed rough skin. And I've had so many people tell me, you know, I had these spots on my skin, on my face, and the mottled hyperpigmentation is what they're referring to. And they tell me how much that went away. Look at this. Now, do we cure cancer? We do not claim to cure cancer. We cannot say things like that. One of the fastest way to get the ire of, or the scrutiny of the FDA is to say, hey, we kill cancer. So we don't do that. But look at this. It topped 1,309 bioactive compounds for the treatment human metastatic colon cancer. Again, we don't cure colon cancer. But what happens, this is the recommended compound. It's what gets elevated by wearing the patch. GHK reset the programmed cellular death system in human cancer cells. So what are cancer cells? They are cells that never die. They are cells that don't stop producing or reproducing. Normal cells, when they make a new one and they butt up against their neighbor, there's an inhibition that occurs that tells them, stop making new cells. Cancer cells lose that, and they just keep making cells and reproducing, and then they invade their neighbors and destroy the normal tissues. Well, GHK resets that programmed cellular death. Isn't that remarkable? Do we cure cancer? We do not say that. GHK copper plus ascorbic acid suppressed sarcoma in mice. NFKB-P65, you don't even have to know what that is, but it's believed to promote cancer growth. The GHK inhibits that substance. It repairs damaged DNA at the cellular level. Next category. I'm spending time on this because it's really, really important. Lung protective, the top thing recommended for treatment of COPD. Do we treat COPD? We do not. and we don't claim to cure it, but the GHK copper peptide is the #1 thing recommended for treatment of COPD. It protects lung tissue, antioxidant properties. You don't even have to know what these are. SOD1 activity. This is the big antioxidant and anti-inflammatory pathway. Know that this is your big defense when something's invading and you have a lot of oxidative stress. Well, huge antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties with the GHK. Here's the biggie on the right, stem cells. This is what we talk about. It's only one of 6 categories of the properties of the GHK copper peptide. Brain and nerves induce strong anti-anxiety and anti-aggression, anti-pain, alleviated neuronal apoptosis due to intracerebral hemorrhage. So what is that? So when we have a hemorrhage intracerebrally, what happens is a lot of cells start to die. Well, the GHK helped alleviate that, and so not as many neurons die. So you can go to this website, but one more thing, increase the healing of many tissues, skin, stomach, intestinal lining, bone. This actually was the first thing to happen for me at 2.5 months. I noticed huge changes in my gut health. So here's why this is so important. The GHK copper peptide, LifeWave obtained a patent in 2020 on the X39 technology because why? They proved to the US Patent Office that it elevates, that wearing the patch elevates the GHK copper peptide. So that's that connection right there. A couple more things. This is how the peptide was discovered. They put old liver cells into a petri dish and then put the GHK copper peptide in there. And here's what happened. It actually reversed the age of the old liver cells, and they started acting like young liver cells. This is what happens in our body as well. With our old stem cells, it turns them, it reverses the age of our old liver stem cells, and then we start making new stem cells. Rapid wound healing, collagen repair, collagen destruction. And one might ask, if you've never been on this call, why would somebody want to destroy collagen? Well, I'm going to have you close your eyes in a minute if you have a queasy stomach. It also resets 4,200 of our genes to a younger state. So close your eyes or turn away if you have a queasy stomach. This is why you would want to destroy collagen. So this is actually the back of a friend of mine's brother. He had this lesion for 8 years. When he used the patch, it had to destroy the capsule around it so that it could ooze out and then heal. The other reasons to destroy collagen would be scar tissue. You got scar tissue, it's not very flexible. It helps turn the scar tissue back to more normal skin. Athletes all over the world are using them. You see these patches on these athletes. One right here looks like a Nirvana patch. He's a motocross racer. Why I would need that as well. Power lifter, you see them right here. You see them on the calf of this guy. Our Olympics swimmers used them in 2004 with Michael Phelps. Got accused of doping, found out it wasn't. They won a lot of medals. David Beckham. There were over 300 Olympic athletes using the LifeWave patches in the Beijing 2008 Olympics. Hair, skin, regeneration, a finger that was cut off. The doctor said it's going to die if you don't put a flap over it. The dad said, no, it's going to grow back. It did. Hair turning brown, that's been part of my experience. Discs healing. This is Mandy. I'm friends with her on Facebook. She really does look like that. Look at the far left. I mean, it's it's age reversal. Once you get a lot of things fixed inside you, then this becomes age reversal. Hair regrowth. Here's a bigger picture of that. The boy got it cut off in a car door, and the black means that it died. The doctor said it would die, but it basically was regenerated with the X39. A brain study. People ask me about this all the time. This is actually why we incorporated them into my practice, because wearing the patch for 6 weeks, everybody had better cognition and less hypercoherence. Hypercoherence, think of my brain went into frozen molasses mode, and I'm having a hard time processing things because my right hemisphere and my left hemisphere can't operate very well independently, and they're trying to do the same thing at the same time. The more hypercoherence a person has, the more autistic they are. It helps normalize coherence and cognition over that 6-week period. Okay. Now, I'm sorry to just use my personal experience. There are a lot more testimonials, but it's very relative to me because I was obviously because it's me, but I initially was oddly attracted to the cardiovascular portion of the organ function study that was done. And I talked about it. Those of you who know me from the very beginning, I would always talk about the cardiovascular portion of the organ function study. And because it said for every 6 weeks, for the 6 weeks of using the patch, the measurements they did for the cardiovascular systems, the systems, they called it acted 2 months younger by wearing the patch for 6 weeks. So I did the math, and I don't know if I coined the phrase, for every day you wear the patch, the cardiovascular system becomes a day and a third younger. So little did I know that this would play out in my own health. That's very meaningful. Do you like my little book there? John's Return to Health. Boys and girls, we're going to tell a little story now. All right. Pieces of my heart puzzle. I had PVCs my entire life. I did not know that I had a right bundle branch block when I started using the patches. These are the changes that have happened to me, all of them, and I'll go into the heart changes individually. But at 2.5 months, I tell you, I did not notice much at all when I first started using them. At 2.5 months, my lifetime issue with gut health improved dramatically. That's when I first started to notice anything. At 4.5 months, my hair started going back to brown. At 5 months, no more PVCs, preventricular contractions, for those of you who don't know. PVCs is where your heart basically stops for a second or two and then starts back up. It'll be going along, boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Many of you may have these. They drive you crazy. It's not dangerous. It's just, it drives you crazy. And it feels like you're not getting oxygen. Right bundle branch block gone. I put unknown, but it showed on the test that it was gone in March of this year. So I started using the patches actually I think it was the last day of March 2020. And then I had this test done, second test, 3/22, but I'll give you more detail. There's me when I started on the left. Here's me on the right. In the meantime, lots of changes on the inside happened. You can see that actually my face looked kind of swollen. It was probably because of that RBBB that I had. My hair started turning brown from back to front. You can see how gray it was in the front. I still have some gray, don't get me wrong, but I feel a lot younger. So here's that organ function study that I mentioned that I was oddly attracted to. For those of you who don't know, and I'm telling you this because there's some of you who have this, and I want to give you encouragement. The right bundle branch block has to do with the conductivity to the right ventricle. What is that? That's where the blood goes after it gets back to the heart from the body, and then your heart has to pump it out to the lungs to get oxygen, and then it comes back, and it ends up in the left ventricle and instead of the right, and then it goes out to the body. If you are losing that battle and you can't keep up with the blood that's coming back to the heart, a lot of bad things happen, and I'll show you. So I did a little research on PubMed, how life-changing was it for me to not have this right bundle branch block anymore? So the aim of this study was to assess the effect of a right bundle branch block on mortality and outcome in patients with acute myocardial infarction, so AMI. It turns out there's more to that story than that, but it says right bundle branch block was associated with significantly increased overall mortality with AMI. Moreover, RBBB showed a considerable effect on both in-hospital mortality and long-term mortality. Look at this. RBB is associated with an increased risk of all-cause mortality, but also indicates a poor prognosis if you do have a heart attack. So two things. My doctor said he's never seen a right bundle branch block go away. And I spoke to someone a few days ago who asked her cardiologist, have you ever seen one go away? And he looked at her and said, no, I've never seen one of those go away. So that's how huge this is. So here's the timeline. On health with patches. I put 1970. That's when I first noticed the PVCs when I was a teenager. April 2020, I started using the X39. I placed one on the back of the neck and one right over my heart where I felt the weirdness, the PVCs. I didn't know I had the right bundle branch block. In August, something really strange happened. At first, it seemed scary, but I don't want you to think it was because it actually turned out to be a good thing. But what happened is the PVCs changed. My entire life, they were rhythmic. They were random. They would happen, maybe 2 beats, maybe none, maybe every 20th beat. They were just random, and I couldn't really ever time them. But all of a sudden, about April, May, June, about 4.5 months in, I think, they became really rhythmic, and it was extremely odd. Every fifth beat, day and night, every fifth beat, day and night, day and night. And it actually scared me because I had my knee replacement surgery coming up in October of 2020. I was a crazy skier. I broke my leg. I tore my cartilage. It set things in motion. It was bone on bone, really like severely, and it was deformed. But this right here kind of scares people when I tell them about it. When you find out what happened, it won't scare you. So they changed, and I thought something bad was happening. So I made an appointment, and it turned out to be very fortunate. I made an appointment with a cardiologist. First stress echo showed that I had a right bundle branch block. That was in October. I started using the patches at the end of March. 2 weeks later, the PVCs disappeared. And I was, when the doctor came in after the first stress echo, he said, your heart responded well to exercise. You just have this right bundle branch block and these PVCs. And I said, well, what causes them? And he says, well, we, the whole body, we have these apoptotic cells, 50 to 70 billion cells a day are targeted by our body for destruction because they're old, they're sick, they're dying. The same thing happens in the heart. You just can't replace them fast enough the light went on, and this is what I thought. I may be wrong, but it turned out it's probably, I mean, something like this had to happen. I thought, I have enough stem cells now, and they're getting replaced in my heart. And they don't know how to beat yet, and they're all beating at the same time, and they're skipping at the same time. And 2 weeks later, they were gone. So I think that there may be some truth to that. I have no proof of that. Here's my first test. Baseline ECG shows sinus rhythm with RBBB with right axis deviation, right precordial ST and T inversion is compatible with the RBBB. Here's my second test. I'm going to zoom in on this. Here's what it says at the bottom. Right bundle branch block is no longer present. I wanted to sing "Oh Happy Day," and I want you to ask yourself, I asked myself, how important is that to me? How important is that to my wife, my kids, my grandkids, that I am no longer faced with that for the rest of my life? It's a big deal. And then I got this from Dr. Ryder's office. Dr. Ryder has reviewed your nuclear test results and is pleased to report that everything looks great. Your study was normal with no issues noted. So that has been quite the experience. Now, I wanted to talk about this chart just briefly before I go into the X39 testing. And I gotta make sure we're doing okay in time. Okay. So people always ask me, why aren't the patches working fast for me? Well, first of all, you don't know that. You don't know what you have. You might not even know what you had that went away. However, we always talk about getting magnesium, making sure we have enough mineralization, making sure we drink enough water, making sure that we have the ability to detox. But nobody ever talked about this. This is from the book Healing is Voltage, handbook by Jerry Tennant, MD. Look what the normal pH and electrification cell voltage, you see a minus right here. Minus 25 is the cellular voltage normal for adults. Look what's normal for kids. This is why they heal so quickly. They're getting closer to this minus 50. This is where healing occurs, where we make new cells. So we put this stem cell activation patch on, and then we forget that we've been eating out of a box or a bag, and unless it's frozen vegetables, you're getting processed food, and I've been eating at McDonald's my whole life. I've been eating cheese sticks and French fried taters and hamburgers. And then I wonder why the patch isn't working. Well, here's why. You're too acidic. Cancers occur clear down in here where all of your electrons have been stolen, a lot of it by the food we eat, some of it by the stress. And now we're expecting to jump from here to where we make new cells. So keep this in mind. Make sure that your expectations are in line with your past diet. If your diet is poor, change it. Start replacing fresh vegetables, the processed stuff with fresh vegetables. Don't eat anything white flour, white sugar, anything that's processed like that. You might, this might be helpful when you are dealing with someone who hasn't had a good diet for decades, and now we're expecting miracles to happen with the patches. So I hope this is helpful. If you want a copy of this, I can email it to you. It's a very simple chart. You don't have to go through digging through Dr. Tennant's handbook if you don't want to. Okay, so as you know, it takes a while for our body to repair itself with stem cells. And sometimes we don't even know what we have that goes away unless you did a test for it. However, there's a really quick way of showing people how quickly the patches work inside of our body. And I have a test that we do for the X39. David Schmidt says that it helps block 5G, 4G, 3G inside of our body. Well, how does it do that? Well, it triggers the release of the AHK copper peptide. And now we get copper peptide in our body. And the configuration with that AHK copper peptide helps block those from entering our body. So I have a video that I did in my office that I'm going to show you how that works. You do not have to be a healthcare provider to do that, to do this testing. So here we go.
All right, this is Hannah. Hannah, do you mind if we show this video to other people, like on social media, website, other places?
That's fine.
Is that okay? Okay. Today we're going to be testing the X39's ability to block 5G, 4G, other EMFs inside the body because of the fact that it elevates the AHK copper peptide. How are we going to do that? We're going to find a strong muscle on Hannah first. And then I'm going to have her hold her phone up to her chest while our other assistant, Cassie, who's out of the film, she's over there though, and we're going to have her hold it up to her chest and call her cell phone. Then we'll test that muscle, see how it goes weak or not, and then we'll put the X39 on after the phone is away, call that phone again, and see the difference. What we want to look for is that her body is not affected by that 5G anymore, causing her to go weak. It's not just this muscle. The muscle is just an indication of the harmful effects it's having on her body. Interestingly enough, research has shown that there are certain things that show up in the bloodstream when we're exposed to 5G, especially those who are electrosensitive. That's how the study was done on this patch. So Hannah, let's test that muscle. Go ahead and, that's rock solid. Now grab your phone and hold it on your chest, and then Cassie's going to call your phone. Is your ringer on? Okay. All right, now it's ringing, and I want you to hold this as hard as you can. Hard as you can. Hannah, stop faking it. No, I'm kidding. So there's not very much strength there. Okay, set that down again. Now we're going to put the X39 patch on her neck right here. And now grab that phone again. And Cassie, go ahead and call her phone. It's calling. I hear the ring. Now push. Now push. Now push. Rock solid.
Wow.
This happens with other things. I can test muscles of gait, like right arm, left leg, and have people try to resist when their cell phone's working. That doesn't work either. So there's a lot of protection that happens with the X39 patch from LifeWave. There are other patches as well. This patch also elevates a different type of stem cell as opposed to the X39 that raises a certain type of stem cell. So you get a lot of benefit from using this X39. So thank you for your participation today, Hannah. Appreciate it. All right. This is Hannah. Hannah, do you mind if we show this video to other people?
And I can't advance. Hold on.
People like on social media, website, other places.
There we go. Okay. All right. That brings me to my final question for you, my workers of light and frequency. What do you choose? If this is your first exposure, just so you know, our goal is to reach 1 billion families on Mother Earth to help them learn how they can heal their own body with energy they are already making. And we invite you to join with us. So get with the person who invited you to come to this or to watch this video, if this is a recorded version, or who invited you to come to this this Zoom today, this doctor call, and learn more about this, learn more about it, and start using the patches yourself. So thanks a lot for listening today, everybody. Again, we enjoy you and invite you to join with us. I know that Peter and Marcy have a few more things to do, but we're going to end this recording for now. So we'll see you on the next Doctor and Science call. Thanks for tuning in.